Hey everybody, it is Corey from Thought Soldiers. So, I wanted to come on and do a video because last night I got blown open. My heart got just completely broken open through just an experience that's going on, and then some insight that came through as to what's happening. Nothing heartbreaking. It just is a part of the unraveling of opening up our hearts as we go further and further into things. So this message is for, because there's been a lot of, I've noticed some common themes coming up in the collective and among people that are reaching out to me, and I'm going through my own personal transformation. That has been a very, very long cycle, and is getting refined every single day. But it's about releasing judgment and the mastery of how we step into our role of mastery and my recognition of mastery. So to start off with the mastery thing, it seems like for me, and this is my personal story of what I've been going through, is that so I love to change my perspective and expand my beliefs and expand my consciousness to the point where sometimes there's a point of no return, or getting to that point of where there is that stress, that you can feel that friction, you know, when you get into too much of a heady talk with someone and your mind starts to scramble. Well, it seems that when we get to that level of our mind going like this, we can finally take a step back and integrate, stay in that expanded state, and thus we are now opened up to new opportunities, new ways of seeing things, new perspectives. Well, the discovery that I came into yesterday, which I think would help some people out there that are going through this, is that the mastery in this lifetime is going to be different for everyone. But at the end of the day, it's about mastering your life. It's about mastering you. It's about wrapping up all of your lessons. It's about finalizing all of your contracts, and it's about breaking free from the cycles that you've been going through. And noting that everything in your reality is reflecting back to you something that needs to be worked on in the presence of God or the Prime Creator, whatever you choose. It's in the presence of divinity. And so you know, it makes me laugh because I see these things that are being reflected back into my reality sometimes, and it's really interesting to go that I'm staring in the eyes of God right now, and God is reflecting back to me everything ungodly within me. He, she, we, it, they, the all, creator, whatever we want to call it, is perfectly reflecting back to me exactly the divinity and the spark that is within me. But the mastery, sometimes we can stretch for that mastery. We can start to try to reach for that grasp, reach for that mastery, versus just owning the mastery that is us and mastering our lessons, and mastering our abilities instead of trying to master someone else's abilities. So I feel like there's this reach that happens, that has happened in my life, in my awakening journey, that has been grabbing for things to fulfill this void of recognizing that I am that master. But it's not about sounding a certain way or mastering a certain subject at times. It's just being the master of our minds, the master of our emotions, and the masters of our life, because we are all just a puzzle piece of divinity that is putting itself back together and weaving itself back in order to ascend. So this is the realization that I have to release judgment for how my mastery looks, and just recognize that all the reflections right now are spitting back to me what I need to know about myself and what needs to be worked on, and my weaknesses. And that right there offers a fast-track solution towards the best version of myself appearing on a day-to-day basis, moment to moment, looking at the reflection and saying, what is this showing me? And then honing in on that, and then refining that and mastering that lesson so we don't have to continually go through it. And that's been, I see a lot of people right now are ending relationships. It's kind of interesting because as relationships are ending, mine are getting better. And it feels a little out of sync, but it's because there's a reflection that's happening to me that I'm seeing through other people. So everyone's relationship thing is reflecting something back to me that I need to look at. But also my personal one is reflecting something back to me as well. And this is where we learn to go within and master the love of ourselves. So then we learn to own our path and our mission, because the difficult thing about when two people come into line is they can come into line at the same flow and the same momentum, but then there's individual experiences that need to happen for separate people in order for them to grow and to evolve as a spirit. And sometimes those lessons get out of sync and things just separate. And sometimes one person needs to go through a very important lesson for their spiritual evolution and growth that causes a chain reaction of pain in another individual, because that pain was needed in order for that soul to evolve and to grow as well. And this is where trajectory splits occur, timeline splits occur, and you're both set off into different directions. Now, it doesn't mean that those directions are separate for life. What it means is that those trajectories need to happen for the soul evolution to then allow whatever is meant to be to be. And this is where the releasing of judgment over the experiences is that whatever is meant to be will be. Whatever, regardless of if we are consciously pulling in something with intent, we are always consciously pulling in everything we need. And sometimes, what we want and what we need are completely out of alignment. Our ego will want something because we figure we have a solution, especially if you have a spiritual ego, especially if you are very tuned in, you're very tapped in, and you firmly believe I'm the controller of my reality and this is exactly what I need. Well, if you really think you know what you need, Spirit is going to give you exactly what you need until you learn that that's exactly what you need. Because there's some layers and there's some veils that are being stripped away so you can embody that self-love and embody your higher self. So, being broken open. How do we break open? Through pain, through self-actualization, through realization, through the integration of the lesson, through wrapping up those cycles, through listening to your reflection, through owning your weaknesses, through the pain. It's like when we look at the creation of a diamond, you take charcoal, heat, and pressure in order to alchemize that into a diamond. And it's through that pain that you get illuminated. This is where the dark night of the soul thing starts to come into play. Is it really a dark night of the soul, or is it just an illumination? As we all know, it's just an illumination. But what we learn to do is we release judgment by owning the emotion and not judging the emotion as it comes up, or judge the experience. I find that recently I start to judge my experience because I don't see tangible results in the way that I want to see them, which is the ego, not the soul. And then what happens is I further break down, I further shed and integrate more of that ego. I give an opportunity for my higher self to step in, and then my higher self provides answers as to what's going on and why it's occurring. And recognizing that there is an abundant flow that is always occurring in this universe. And sometimes when we step into, and I'm just kind of flowing over some personal insights that I've been getting, when we step into the idea that abundance is tied to just strictly financial money. Well, we're currently breaking down that economic structure. And the thing is that there's an abundant flow too of healing and love when it comes to when we look at abundance. So how are we looking at abundance? My ego wants to see abundance as, well, I'm doing this work and I'm doing all these things, why isn't the paycheck showing up at the door? Well, because it's reflecting back to me a lack program that I'm currently stripping out, and recognizing that I'm always supported on this journey, and I need to give up that fear of not being provided for, when in fact, if I reflect back on the entire 31 years of my existence, I've always been provided for. Even the times where I felt like I was not being provided for, I was always provided and taken care of. Especially when I finally reconnected back to Source, I opened up my energy body and I connected and got in line with my mission. I was even more protected and even more taken care of in a way that at the time didn't seem like I was, but it was perfect for my soul's evolution, and it was perfect for my soul's growth. And this is where I release judgment off of my experience, and I release judgment off of how I feel by feeling it and honoring that I feel that way. Sometimes when I'm, especially on the spiritual journey, I feel like I feel something, I'm not supposed to be feeling that because I'm spiritual. Well, guess what? Divinity is going to reflect back to me over and over again exactly how much I need to be feeling that, because that is a part of the spiritual journey. And until I release judgment over that feeling, I don't reach mastery, because mastery is honoring every part of me and honoring the experience and mastering Corey. And as my soul's evolution and growth and my imprint is going to be different from your imprint, when I start to make a comparison, I'm now judging my journey, thus offering more opportunity for the universe, divinity, to reflect back to me why I need to release that judgment. And I need to release that comparison. And I need to release all of those things in order to get into radical acceptance of the divine love that I am and that spark that I hold within. And so this is why I'm finding now, in this breaking open phase that started last night, why it's perfect just the way it is. And this happens with understanding the journey of why things are happening. Well, I don't need to really fully understand why it's occurring right now. I have to trust that it's occurring for my highest good. Everything that I encounter on a day-to-day basis is for my highest good. It is divinity saying, it may not be what you want right now, but it's what you need to fast track you with where you need to go. Plain and simple. And so with this explosion of the heart blowing open, which is not a pretty process, what it does is it offers an opportunity to open up and to dump out the distortion through your tears, through your fears, through your worries. It's basically a moment of the shattering. It is the egg breaking open to find that light within. And so this is where these times happen that I soften up, and then I embody more self-love. And then I get to the point where I can reflect and I go, Corey, I know I haven't been loving you well enough. Maybe I don't know how to. How can I best love you today? How can I best embody the highest version of yourself by embodying that self-love? And then I get a moment to reflect, I get some answers, and I start to take those action steps as I learn, again, how to love myself unconditionally and to master this whole experience by embodying that self-love and that self-compassion and letting that reflect out one by one towards every individual I encounter, providing the opportunity for them to go out and to do the same. And that's how we affect the collective in the ascension process. And this is where I've had to learn, and I'm still learning because it's very hard. My lower self wants to see immediate tangible results, but this is where when I practice that self-love and I open up, I can go zoom up and I can start to see the higher perspective in the orchestration and why it occurs. Because when I embody self-love, okay, and then I go and I reflect that out my self-love, and I reflect that into every individual and every energy body that I touch on a day-to-day basis, including my relationships. They are now taking that energy and they're sending it out to their people, and their people are spreading it out to their people, and their people's, and it goes and it goes and it goes and goes until everybody starts to embody this self-love, and it raises up the collective. This is why healing is important on this journey. This whole journey for me and for many people that I run into, and everyone's at their own different realizations and their phases and their understanding of what's going on, is to take our wounds, to mend them, to forgive them, to love the wounds that created the avatar that is here right now, and then providing that opportunity by illuminating that outward through expansion or through whatever process you need to do in order to help out another individual, whether it's to work one-on-one with someone, whether it's to take care of a plant, whether it's to take care of an animal, whether it's just to walk around embodying that light through the smile and the resonance of your frequency out in the real world, or to come on to make YouTube videos, or to create a piece of art with it. However it serves you the best in order to help not only you, but to help the collective. And so, judgment has been a big common theme that blew me open last night, and releasing that judgment, and recognizing that I have an individual soul purpose, that it is my duty and responsibility to myself to not compare to another person's journey. It is my duty to myself to not judge how someone else's journey affects me, but to recognize that everything I am receiving right now, no matter how painful, how monotonous, how boring, is reflecting something back to me through the eyes of divinity to discover the divinity that I am within. And because of that, it's softening my shell. It's helping me to transmute by laughing at some of the most beautifully painful aspects of myself that I've ever gone through. And it's giving a lot of nice time to reflect, and then to create a message out of it and to share it out in the collective in hopes that it helps another individual. And then we start the chain of awakening that has been going on for quite a while now, especially since the harmonic convergence of the 1980s, and how we're noticing it really speed up now. And we're noticing it really start to make waves as these energies are pushing through the collective, and we're creating more space for those things to arrive. So, excuse me, throat chakra clearing. So anyways, I just wanted to come on and do that little ramble, not a ramble, a little flow of releasing judgment and owning our own mastery, which is just mastering ourselves, which is just a reflection of source, a reflection of creator, which is just an aspect of you, through a different personality and a different avatar being reflected back to you in order to help you grow and to expand into the best version of yourself. So anyways, much love and respect to everybody out in the Webverse. I hope everyone's doing amazing. Happy Friday. There are some things that are going to be coming up pretty soon. I keep getting all this forward momentum to put stuff out and to create more, and then I get shoved back into the healing hole. Obviously, the universe is reflecting back to me everything I need right now, so it's perfect just the way it is. So much love and respect to everybody out in the Webverse. If you need anything, feel free to contact me, and I will see you on the other side. Namaste.